Hello and welcome back to the Formula Virtual Racing GT League for Season 3, Round 7 here at Kyoto Driving Park. We are driving around the Yamagiwa layout here tonight, and we've just had our 10-minute qualifying session, so let's see how the drivers lined up for today's race. We've got 10 of them on the grid tonight, and here's how they line up from back to front. On the left-hand side of your screen, we have Kian starting in 10th place, and just in front of him in the Lexus is Leon back with us for his first race of this season. Making their way into the top 8, Cameron Hill starts in 8th with a 1:32.9. He sits behind one of the BCR drivers of James in 7th place. It's myself in the Lamborghini once again, making it inside the top 5 with a 32.8. Qualifying behind Xavier, who set a 32.7, only a tenth between those two drivers. On the second row of the grid is my teammate Piero with a 32.6, and he was 4/10 behind Maurizio Veltwis, who starts inside the top 3 in that Lexus on the right hand side of the screen. The front row on the grid is the front 2 in the championship, with our current championship leader Ate in second on the left hand side, 1 whole second behind our pole sitter Jensen Taylor, who has a clear track in front of him for the 6th time this season. 6 races, 6 poles. It's a pretty impressive record in qualifying, to say the least. And that's how our 10 drivers line up for the sprint race here tonight at Kyoto Driving Park. 2 races for you, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, and it should provide some great on-track action. Kyoto, not an easy track to overtake at, and so we could see a couple of trains forming very high in tyre deg and tyre wear, so lots of different strategies up and in the air available for these drivers tonight. We're not going to waste any time, and without further ado, I'm going to get the race info on the screen and we can get this race underway. It's time for the sprint racing action here tonight at Kyoto Driving Park. 5 red lights, 15 minutes, and we go racing here in Kyoto for the Japanese Grand Prix. It's a great start once again from Piero, who slips it through on the inside ahead of Ate and ahead of Jensen going in towards the turn 1. The Frenchman takes the lead of the sprint race here tonight, but he's left the door open for Jensen to walk on through on the inside. They go side by side through the long swooping left-hander at turn 1, but it's single file up the hill through turn 2 and 3. Behind Xavier's got the jump on Nathan Marriott, who takes a bit of air over the curb through turn 4, but stays ahead of James in front. Ate, going a bit wide as he's got Maurizio on his inside. Jensen, though, fighting to retake the lead of the race from Piero, who leads in the Ferrari 458. They run side by side down the hill. Maurizio on the inside. That's a Mercedes late on the brakes. He's hit the championship leader, who's round in the background. Contact. Xavier's off the track and falls to the back of the pack. Jensen Taylor is well collected. The top 2, now the bottom 2 in this race, with Jensen leading. Ate, they go side by side up the hill in towards the 180-degree left-hander of turn 12. In front of them, James and Leon now side by side in the battle for 4th place. A great start from Leon. He's up 4 positions in this race, starting on the back row of the grid. Behind Cameron, I think someone's wide. That is Cameron wide off the track. He's rounding in the barrier. Just about avoided by the cars in front. Jensen trying the old switcheroo on the inside of Kian in towards the final corner. Ate trying to capitalise on this battle as well. What a chaotic start. Now Maurizio Veltwis is leading here at the end of lap 1. He's on the inside of Piero, down towards the first corner, but back towards the back of the pack. Ate on the inside of Jensen Taylor. These two battling at the top of the championship, but in the midfield of today's race. There's 7 points separating between those two in the championship going into this sprint race. Ate ahead of Jensen. We'll be picking up a couple more points as this stands, but we still have an entire sprint race to go. That's late on the brakes from Xavier Maynard, who's now up into 8th place, but up in front. Ate's left the door open for Jensen to have a look on the inside, but the Brit doesn't decide to send it. What about down the hill in towards the high-speed chicane? He's going to have a look, but doesn't decide to send it. Backs out into the left chicane of turn 8, 9 and 10. And this could be a battle that goes on to the end of the race. But Maurizio started third in this race, now takes the lead after getting ahead of Piero at the end of lap 1, capitalising on the leaders getting involved in an incident. Jensen's now taken the position off Ate down towards the hairpin at turn 12, Purple to the middle sector, but the championship lead is going to fight this one back to the inside, but backs out sensibly into the downhill chicane. He's got a bit of a run though, entering the final corner, but isn't quite close enough to send one round the outside. Going through the final corner though, Jensen has the lead on Ate in that battle for 6th place. All these drivers tonight starting the sprint on the medium compound tyre, apart from Ate, who is on that soft, thinking he can take that red striped tyre 15 minutes in this race. It will be a stretch to the end, but we'll have to wait and see whether it works for him or not. Our race leaders though, they're on the mediums. Maurizio Valtteri leading Piero down the hill in towards the long speed left-hander of turn 6, entering sector 1 into sector 2. Myself up into the top 3, being hunted down by James in 4th place. Leon's had a great start, he's up into 5th place. Jensen down into 6th, but up from that incident down towards turn 8 on the opening lap. He's got his championship rival right behind him. Can he now find a way past Leon to the inside at turn 11? He's alongside the Lexus, side by side. How late will he brake to the outside line? Leon's going to try and defend this as best he can on the inside. Defends the position well, but there's contact made between the two cars, and Leon's round. The Dutchman spinning, collected by Xavier in the background. Rather bullied out of the way by the faster cars. But that's promoted Jensen up into 5th, Ate up into 6th, and Leon will drop down to the back of the pack. And to make matters worse, he's had another spin on the exit of turn 14. Back up to our race leaders though. Maurizio leads Piero, not a lot separating the top 2. Then Piero find a way past Maurizio going up the hill through turn 2, now 3, the left-hander of turn 4 into 5. Not really gaining on the car in front, going through the first sector. We've had a spin in the background. That's our championship leader. It's Ate off at the first corner. He's had a spin on the grass and he's picked up front bumper and suspension damage, and it's gone from bad to worse for the driver top of the standings. As it stands, is dropping vulnerable points to Jensen Taylor, who's running inside the top 5. As he now tries to hunt down the top 4. James is the next driver on the list to make this recovery drive work as best as he can. But at the top of the field, it is still Maurizio who leads the field away under the night sky here at Kyoto. It's a night race for the sprint, and we've got a day race for the feature race that follows. But Maurizio leads the field away through the final corner, ahead of Piero, myself ahead of James, and the run down towards the first corner. We've had another spinner. It's the driver in 9th. It's our championship leader, round again, and with more damage to the front of his car, might drop to the back of the pack. It's not been a great sprint race for Ate, but fortunately for him, he has a feature race to try and recover. Having started on the soft compound tyres, I'm not sure it's a gamble that has paid off. But up to our race leaders. James now down the inside of myself through turn 5. The Mercedes getting ahead of the Lamborghini that tucks in behind the AMG. Now down the hill and towards the high speed left, right, left chicane to turn 8, 9 and 10. Nathan defending from the current runner-up in the championship, going defensive to the inside through turn 11 in towards turn 12. Will Jensen decide to send one down the inside? Has a little look, but the door is closed and there's no way through. Has a big tank slapper on the exit of the corner as well, and will just slot behind the Lamborghini for now, as we now ride on board with the Lexus. He's got his target in sight, sends one down the inside, late on the brakes, and that's a great move from the Brit up into the top 4. Can he now get James in front of him, or will he be under pressure from Nathan behind? Look at this for our leaders. Piero being squeezed right over to the outside. The leaders side by side into turn 1. Maurizio on the inside has just enough to get in front. Can he stay in front? Nathan's ran was so wide through turn 1. Jensen's now up through on the inside, but he's run wide onto the grass. Might cost his speed up the hill. As there's a spin in the background for Cameron Hill, who's nearly span into the pit lane entrance, will rejoin through Leon, and that was nearly a monumental accident between the two drivers running at the back of the pack. Jensen though with the inside of James, now running side by side, now ahead of the Brit as they make their way down the hill for the 6th time this evening. James is going to try and fight this one back to the inside, but backs out of it in the end. Just thinks about having a little look. That might leave him vulnerable though to the hot charging Lamborghini behind. James defensive to the inside. Car number 9 trying to keep car number 32 behind here on lap 6 of the sprint race. We're 9 minutes on the clock, 6 minutes to go here at Kyoto Yamagiwa for the sprint race. We've got another race lined up after this one. A reminder, the top 8 is reversed for the feature race, and that points are awarded for the top 8 as it stands. Ate will find himself on provisional pole position. Behind though, Cameron and Leon having a bit of a battle for 9th place. They're going side by side up the hill in towards turn 12. Cameron with the outside line. Can he swoop it round his fellow Lexus driver? He's going to put his foot down. He's going to give it his best. 4 headlights side by side, but in the end Leon just about does enough to get in front and stay in front. Jensen though, having started on pole position, being involved in that lap 1 incident that saw him drop close towards the back of the pack, is recovering well. He's up into the top 3 in a podium position. Whilst Piero and Maurizio battle away for the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix, the 2nd time that we head over to Japan, and the final time that we race in Asia this season, before the final 2 races being held in Italy and Switzerland. But in the final 5 minutes of the sprint race, we have 3 cars fighting for the lead of this race, and ultimately, well, it's points for the sprints, but they will be sent to the back of the pack for the feature race. It's just what order will they start in the feature race? As it stands, Maurizio will start in 8th place for the feature race, but there are still 4 minutes left of on-track action to decide how these front 3 will finish. If they're not careful, there are 2 cars that are not too far behind them that could capitalise on any mistakes or incidents that occur between these 3 drivers. 2 Lexuses and a Ferrari battling for the 3 spots on the podium. It's the Dutchman that currently leads the field away up the hill for the 8th time in the sprint race. At the back of the field though, Cameron has now got ahead of Leon into the final sector. But back up to our race leaders, there's not a lot separating the front 3. Maurizio has to defend from an attack from Piero to the outside in towards the chicane. Almost looked like Maurizio went a bit deep there. In fact, I think it might have been Piero that's gone a bit deep, because he's under pressure from Jenson Taylor now back up the hill here at Kyoto, but down towards turn 12, and they remain single file for now. We're having a look on the outside, but nothing doing on this occasion. Maurizio covering the inside line before peeling back over onto the racing line. The headlights on these cars really lighting up the action here tonight. Pierre's going to give it his best down the start-finish straight. They're side by side, neck and neck over the start-finish line to start the penultimate lap of the sprint race. Maurizio, though, has the advantage going in towards the first corner. He's got track position, which can be crucial at a track that's quite hard to overtake at. A bit of a slide going up the hill. Ate's into the pits. He's had enough of the softs. I don't think they've got any life left in them. He might try and go for the fastest lap towards the end of this race. Pierre's got a good run through turn 6. He might be close enough to try and send one down the inside. Maurizio has him covered though. Defends to the left-hand side of the track in towards the hairpin at the chicane at turn 8. And whilst these three are fighting, they're being caught by the cars behind. There's a Mercedes and a Lamborghini closing in on this battle for the top 3. Oh, Pierre is late on the brakes. He sends one down the inside, makes a bit of contact with the Lexus, but takes the lead of the race away from Maurizio on the penultimate lap of the race. And look at the tyre wear on that Lexus, especially to the front left compared to the cars around him. Even Jenson Taylor in Equal Machinery has a little bit better tyre wear to that front right. And he looks to send one back down the inside. Pierre is generous. He's opened the door. He's given him the room. But he's been forced off wide and onto the grass. Nearly spins the car and hits the back of the Lexus. Now down the start-finish straight for the final time tonight. Pierre and Jenson now side by side. Through the lights, lighting up the start-finish straight and the action out on the circuit. It's Jenson up into second place with the inside line through turn 1. But Maurizio runs a little bit wide through on the exit of the first corner as they go up the hill for the final time in the sprint, being led by Maurizio, hunted down by Jenson, defensive in towards turn 6. Jenson's found a small gap on the inside. Can he place his Lexus on the inside? Maurizio's ran right through, goes Piero through the middle of them from third to first in 2 corners. The Frenchman now leads the Japanese Grand Prix with a double overtake on the last lap of the sprint. An incredible move from the Ferrari driver. Can he now keep the 2 Lexuses behind? Maurizio's not got a lot left in those tyres. Piero defensive to the inside. Jenson's going to go down the inside of Maurizio. Look at these two. James and Nathan now caught up to this battle for the lead of the race. 5 cars on track, fighting for first on the last lap of the sprint to decide where they are going to start in the feature race. Piero defends the inside line going in towards the final corner. He's under pressure though from Jenson behind. Can he hook up the final corner nicely? No, he can't. He's lost the rear. He's in the wall. That promotes James up into a podium position. Can he go one better as Piero wins the sprint? It's a drag race for second. Maurizio in second and James in third ahead of Nathan in 5th. Sav comes across the line in 6th ahead of Jenson Taylor, who span on the exit of the final corner in 6th place. Keane will cross the line in 7th place ahead of Ate, who, well, it might have been a bad sprint for him, but he's put himself on pole position for the feature race. And can he get 1 extra point and set the fastest lap on the last lap? No, he can't. He does improve his personal best, but it's not good enough to beat Jenson's 32.8. And that was just the sprint, ladies and gentlemen. We've still got another 27 racing laps to go. This time, though, the sun has risen and it's the mid-afternoon. Of course, it's a rolling start to get the feature race underway, now being led by Ate, who finished the sprint in 8th. And we go racing once again here in Kyoto for the feature race. It's probably wise I took a break after the chaotic end to the sprint race. But Ate leads the field away in towards turn 1. Immediately, Johnson on the inside of Kian, who's left the door wide open for several cars to walk on through. Xavier Maynard might try and get involved in this and runs wheel to wheel with the GTR. Now ahead goes the AMG. No, he doesn't. Kian keeps his foot down bravely on the inside and keeps 3rd place. Zav's going to try and fight this one back over the crest, now down the hill in towards turn 6. Kian runs wide and Nathan and James both walk on by through the exit of 6, now through 7, down the hill for the first time in the feature race in towards the high-speed chicane. It's almost 2 by 2 with Maurizio getting ahead of Kian. Piero up and down into 8th place. Sorry, it's not been the best of starts from him. James now runs down the inside of Nathan, married to that Mercedes AMG. Oh, but he's lost the rear on the exit of the corner. He's spun and he's in the barrier with front bumper damage. And our race leader's wide onto the grass, and that allows Jenson Taylor to swoop around the outside and up into the lead of the race. They are 1 and 2 now in the feature race, 1 and 2 in the championship, or as it stands, Jenson Taylor will take the lead in the championship. There was only 7 points between them going into the sprints, and with Jenson picking up 3 points for finishing in 6th, close that gap to 4 points, having picked up the fastest lap as well. That could be a crucial, costly mistake for Ate, who has started this race on the soft compound tyres. Jenson on the mediums, everyone else is on the medium compound tyres, apart from these 2 drivers that are going side by side in towards turn 5 and towards turn 6. Maurizio and myself side by side on the hard compound tyre. The 2 Squadra Italia cars now side by side down the hill. I think Piero will be given the go-ahead up into 6th place, being on that faster medium compound tyre. Didn't have to fight for that one too much. But Cameron's had a good start up into 7th place, having finished the sprint in 9th. And he'll just tuck in behind the Lamborghini Huracan going in towards turn 12. In the background you can see James on a recovery drive after dropping it at this very corner on the previous lap. But back up to our race leaders. It's Jenson Taylor now who leads the field away ahead of Ate. And Xavier up into the top 3. He's not spent much time this season in a podium position, but it's good to see the Brit back running in contention for a podium finish. His last podium coming all the way back to season 2, I think round 1 at Sardinia B when we were in Group 4. Piero on the medium compound tyres will be looking to try and get ahead of Maurizio as soon as possible. There's a car wide through turn 1. I think that was Leon in the blue Lexus, just running wide onto the grass, hitting the outside barrier. But in this battle for 4th place, it's one cabin crew defending from a Squadra Italia car. The other cabin crew attacking a Squadra Italia car. That's Cameron on the inside of myself down towards turn 6. And the Lexus now ahead of the Lamborghini. Up in front though, Piero getting the move done on the Lexus of Maurizio. So as one cabin crew overtook the Squadra Italia, the Squadra Italia car overtook the other cabin crew. Maurizio though sends one back down the inside of my French teammate. But Piero just has enough run around the outside, and I think that was a mistake from Cameron. A slide on the exit of turn 12 allowed myself to get back through up into 6th place going into the final corner. The Lexus almost pushing the Lamborghini round The 180-degree right-hander, final corner. Back down the start-finish straight in towards turn 1. Nathan leads Cameron, and Piero leads Maurizio in the battle for 4th and 6th place. 2 of these drivers are on the mediums, the other 2 on the hards. Interesting to see how that plays out in the long run for those drivers who have opted for the harder compounder tyre. Only myself and Maurizio going onto the white striped tyre. Cameron's going to try it again down the inside and towards turn 6. And once again he gets the move done. Nathan's going to try and hold it round the outside as best he can, but just tucks in behind the Lexus for now. Playing the long game. He's going to have the tyre advantage later on in this race when he's off the hards and onto either the mediums or the softs. Now the tyre wear is particularly high around this circuit, the highest it will be all season. Lots of long, high-speed left-handers giving excessive wear to the front right. That is the tyre of concern here this evening. I'm sure many drivers have adjusted their brake balance accordingly to try and conserve the front tyres as best they can. And so a 2-stop maybe on the cards. It might be the preferred strategy with a lot of these drivers starting on that medium compound tyre. Ate starting for the softs, although I believe this was a mistake. We of course, for those who weren't there during this race, we had a lobby restart after the rolling start sent us flat out in towards turn 1. Wasn't very much of a rolling start at all. And Ate didn't change his tyres from the sprint race, which is why he is on that red striped soft compound tyre, matching the colour on that Porsche, being hunted down by Xavier Maynard, currently in 3rd place. Cameron's just opened up that gap to Nathan Marriott in the 6th and 7th place. James has caught up to the back of Kian, having got past Leon a couple of laps ago. 34.0 is James's personal best, comparing that up to a 34.2 for Cameron Hill. It's fair to say the BCI driver is setting some competitive lap times after making that mistake at this corner on the opening lap. Piero though leading Maurizio in the battle for 4th place, both of them taking that corner nicely, and Maurizio doing a great stint on this hard compound tyre to stay just behind Piero. As they cross the start-finish line for the 5th time this evening to start lap number 6. Jensen Taylor leads the field up the hill with a comfortable lead to Ate behind. The medium compound tyre is, I think, going to be the preferred tyre of choice here tonight. I don't think we'll see too many laps done on the soft. But mistake or not, this is a good indication to the rest of the drivers of how far the soft compound tyre can go, whilst we are under the scorching hot sun here in the afternoon of Kyoto. Of course, the sprint race took place under the night sky, but now the sun is shining, and the track temperature has gone up quite a lot since the sprint race, and so the tyre wear was a little bit worse. And it is something that the drivers will need to pay attention to and adjust their strategy accordingly. As Ate is into the pits off of the soft tyres at the end of lap 6, he has had enough, and I don't think they had much more to give either. Porsche pulls into the box, the mechanics change the tyres, no fuel going into that car, and out he goes on a set of medium compound tyres. Is he going to fall out behind in traffic? He's behind James going in towards turn 1. But going on to the medium compound tyres definitely confirms a 2-stop. I think any use of the soft compound tyre confirms a 2-stop strategy. They're only really good enough for 6 laps, it seems. Unless you take hard compound tyres 21 laps, I don't think you're going to be doing a 1-stop using the softs. Some drivers were even mentioning the idea of a 3-stop before the start lights went out. In the build up to this race, here goes Ate down the inside and towards turn 8, moves up into 7th place though. But James will try and fight this back as best he can to the outside. He's not going to let the fresher tyres give him up. Cameron's gotten ahead of his teammate. I think that might have been an orchestrated move for 4th place. Cameron being on the medium compound tyres and has found a lot more pace than he showed in the sprint. And to be honest, the rest of the season, I think he's been around about 10th place for every point he's scored thus far this season, having converted onto a wheel. But he's showing great pace here tonight at Kyoto Driving Park, into the top 4 for what I think is the first time this season on track. Our race leader though has built up quite a sizable gap to the cars behind, about 9-10 seconds already after 8 laps of racing. Jensen Taylor leading Xavier Maynard, similar tyre wear to the front too. Piero doing well to conserve his front right tyre. Cameron though in a great position with that front right, and of course Maurizio on the hard compound tyre with similar life to Cameron, interestingly, despite being on a harder compounder tyre. That's interesting for Maurizio. Not sure he'd be too pleased to see that. Another driver on the hard with a better tyre wear than the car in front, also on the hards. But we're now watching the driver in the 2nd place. Xavier's done. He's had a tough season so far. Hasn't scored as many points as I think he would have hoped for. Currently sits in 8th place in the Drivers' Championship. 10th place in the championship with just 20 points to his name, averaging about 9th place of every race. Whereas if you compare that to last season and the season before, he was averaging top 5 finishes and a couple of podiums. He's worked his way back up into 2nd place here at Kyoto. Can he hold on to a finish inside the top 3, which will be his first since season 2? But I think the drivers around him have just gotten quicker. They found a couple more tenths, and the grid has been so close this season. There was just, I think 4 tenths separating 3rd to 8th from sprint qualifying. Meanwhile, Ate is caught up to the back of Nathan through the final corner, pulls alongside the Lamborghini. Now they run side by side down the start-finish straight. Ate swerving to break the toe, defensive to the inside, having pitted off of the softs and onto a fresh set of medium compound tyres, does get the move done on into 6th place. James as well is making a recovery drive through the field, 35.3. Very consecutive, consistent lap times for him. He's lapping faster and quite similarly to the top four. It's just a shame for him that one mistake cost him significantly in this opening stint. The life on those medium compound tyres, though, for his teammate have certainly dropped off the cliff. He's been caught rapidly by Cameron, Piero and Maurizio behind. Look how much more grip Cameron has through the corners, nearly pushing the back of that Mercedes through the final sector. Cameron, though, runs wide through the final corner, penultimate corner, dips wheel onto the grass. He's going to go for it down the inside, makes a little bit of contact with the Mercedes. I don't think Zav saw him coming on the inside, but here goes Piero through on Zav as they pull into the pits. Cameron stays out for another lap. His teammate follows him out, or stays out, I should say. And look at that, Jenson Taylor's in and out and already takes the lead of the race. Cameron and Maurizio moved up into second and third, Ate into fourth, myself now into the top five, being one of two drivers to start this race on the hard compound tyre. Zav has come out just ahead of Kian, which is fortunate for him. He doesn't want to get stuck behind drivers who haven't made a pit stop in this race. Kian, of course, also another driver to start on the hard compound tyres, as does Leon in the other Lexus behind. Piero, though, is now behind a driver on an old set of hard compound tyres. This isn't doing his race any favours as he makes his way through the turn 8, 9, 10 chicane, hits the back of Lexus, does with that overspeed from the grip that he has on those fresh mediums. Will be trying desperately to find a way past as quickly as can, doesn't want to lose time to the cars that have stayed out of got clean air. But here he goes, he chooses his chance down towards the turn 13, 14 chicane, but couldn't quite send it. He's desperately trying his hardest to try and find a way past. Is it going to be round the outside of the final corner? Leon defends well, but now they are side by side down the start-finish straight. Piero on the left-hand side of your screen, right-hand side of the track will be the outside line for turn 1 if he can keep it. How late on the brakes do they go? Piero later swoops right round the outside, using the grip on those fresh medium compound tyres to move up into 8th place. And that's a great move from the Frenchman. Just in front, Zav has got the jump on Cameron. Interestingly, actually, that he didn't pull out more of a gap with the undercuts, actually. So a really good in-lap from Cameron to just stay behind that Mercedes. The two Brits running close to one another inside the top 5. Their job now is to catch up to the back of Nathan Marriott and Maurizio Veldhuis before they make their pit stop from the hard compound tyres. I mean, of course, they could be two stopping, but if you're onto the hards, you'd think that they'd be going to for a one stop. It's going to be touch and go with Maurizio, because we're not halfway through this race and those hard compound tyres are looking a little bit worse for wear. Hasn't got much to give on those hard compound tyres, and they have to be in sooner than expected compared to the Lamborghini on the hards as well. That was Piero looking for a move on Kian, down towards turn 6, late on the brakes, down the inside, and the Ferrari now up into 7th place. He's got some time to catch up to the car in front. He's been stuck behind a little bit of traffic for the last lap or two. And now it's his chance to put the foot down and set some quick lap times. Ate's doing his best to try and retain the championship lead after this feature race. Jensen closed the gap to just 4 points after the sprint race and is currently leading the feature race with the fastest lap. Ate's now pushing Maurizio through the first corner, one driver having done 14 laps on hard compound tyres, the other on 8-lap old mediums. And although Ate's tyres are looking a little bit worn, they're not as worn as the driver in front. We're now on board with our championship leader, the reigning champion, going in towards this season. Maurizio pulls over to the right hand side of the track. I don't think he's going to fight this one too hard. Late on the brakes and down the inside. Ate moves up into 2nd place and can now start a long charge for the race leader. There's quite a gap between him and Jensen in this race. The Brit about 13 seconds in the lead of this race. Meanwhile, behind in the battle for 5th, Sav leads Cameron down the hill through turn 13 and the left-hander of 14. Cameron going to look for a move in towards the final corner, just backs out of it in the end. Had a little look, realised the move wasn't quite on for him as he runs a little bit wide through the final corner and now down the start-finish straight. Not going to be too long till we see these drivers pit from the hard compound tyres. By the looks of it, I think Maurizio might be in at the end of this lap. I'm not sure the mediums will go 13 laps to the end. Could be touch and go, and we might go for a set of softs. We will have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Cameron looking for a move on Zavin towards turn 12. Had a think about trying to get him on the exit, but wasn't quite successful this time round. Maurizio though pulls over to the left hand side of the track and is into the pit at the end of lap 15 from the hard compound tyres. We wait and see which tyres will be going on to the Lexus. The old hards come off and the new softs go on for Maurizio. It's a 2-stop for the Dutchman. Kian's also into the pit. He might be following on from a similar strategy. Where does this leave Mason Marriott? Does he follow them in, or does he extend this hard compound tyre stint and go on to a set of the mediums and be one of the only drivers, I think, to do a 1-stop? As it stands, it's a strategy that's working well for the Brit. Started in 5th place, I believe. But I got knocked down to 7th. Here comes Cameron down the inside in towards turn 8 and now up into 4th place ahead of Xavier Maynard, and he now leads the hunt for the Lamborghini in front. Cameron now up into 4th place, having got past the BCR driver now behind. Piero catching up to this battle for 4th place as well, having been stuck behind a couple of cars. Meanwhile, Jensen continues to lead in dominant fashion here tonight at Kyoto. My record of the biggest winning margin is certainly at risk. 28 seconds. He needs to get that gap to in order to accomplish that record. James is into the pits off of the soft compound tyres, will probably finish on a set of the mediums. Cameron is quickly catching up to the back of Nathan on those fresh medium compound tyres. Of course, I am the only driver yet to make a pit stop so far in this race, running in a podium position. Having got my first podium last week at Interlagos, can I make it 2 from 2? Runs a little bit wide through turn 12, the front tyres just giving up through the low speed corners. But through the right-left chicane, turn 13 and 14, Cameron's going to have a look into the final corner. Is he going to send it? Yes, he is. I think Nathan saw that coming, just accepted that the move was coming, because that Lamborghini, I think, will be pulling off into the pits, and indeed he does. Follows in the reigning champ, and everyone has now made their first pit stops in this race. Some coming in for their second. So the one stop appears to be working for Nathan Marriott. He's come out not too far behind at him, who was running in second place. Now can he hunt down the race leader and maintain his championship lead by the time the checkered flag drops? As it stands, no one looks like beating Jensen here tonight. He is in a class of his own and has absolutely, he's got no one around him, no one in front, no one behind to worry about, but I think we'll be into the pits in a couple of laps time to complete the set of mandatory tyres. Started on the mediums, pitted for the mediums, has to use another compound to not get that 1 minute time penalty. Maurizio started on the hards, he went to the softs for his second stint. Piero has gone medium and medium, so he as well is going to have to make another pit stop in this race to complete the mandatory set of tyre compounds. But has closed up nicely to the back of Maurizio here at lap 18, about to start lap number 19 of 27. We're just over a third of the way through this race. Piero going to have a look and try and go around the outside of Maurizio in towards turn 1, but it's quite a tricky corner to go around the outside of if you're not already alongside or ahead of the car in front. We now ride on board inside the cockpit of the Ferrari 458. Maurizio onto the marbles, runs wide through turn 6. That's going to close the gap for Piero now down the hill and towards the turn 8 chicane. Piero dressed in red in his Ferrari, of course, rocking the colours of the Italian flag. And it will be a home Grand Prix next week for the Squadra Italia team. The only two drivers in Italian cars in this race. Of course, UNEM signed up in the Ferrari, but have yet to feature since Daytona. And before that, it was Road Atlanta, Road 2, the last time they were on the grid and scored a point. Eight laps to go here at the Japanese Grand Prix. Jensen leading the way quite comfortably to the cars behind. We've got 15 seconds advantage to Cameron in second place. Xavier Rudd rocking up in the top three for the first time this season. It's been a while since he's finished on the podium. Let's see if he can keep it by the end of the race. Of course, does have to make another pit stop and has one driver behind who does not need to make another pit stop. Of course, I went for the medium compound tyres after doing the first stint on the hard. Should take them to the end of the race. And we're at the phase now where these drivers have got to be setting some quick lap times if they want to have a chance of finishing well inside the top five, because of course they have a one stopper behind them who could snatch a couple of positions from 7th place. James has caught up to the back of Keane going down the hill through turn 13, and now the left-hander of 14 on those fresh medium compound tyres. Keane runs a little bit wide onto the curb. That's compromised his exit speed in towards the final corner. Defends the inside line. James is going to try and hold it right round the outside, get a good exit through the final corner, and maybe try and attack in towards turn 1. Across the line there, side by side, neck and neck, door to door, late on the brakes for James, who now takes up 8th place and gets the move done on Keane, who drops down into 9th, but has got a nice gap to Leon behind, who will be making another pit stop in this race off of those soft compound tyres. Maurizio though defending from Piero down towards turn 8, the Frenchman trying his best to get past on what little grip he has left, up the hill, round the outside. Now has the inside for turn 12, and that was a brilliantly executed move. Although, to be fair to Maurizio, he does have a puncture to his front right, but defended that as best he could. The race leader is into the pits off of the medium compound tyres. Splash and dash for the race leader. He's in and out and back into the lead of the race on those soft compound tyres. Another driver is into the pits. That's Xavier from 3rd. Piero follows him in, as does Maurizio. Ate stays out and will be going to the end on those medium compound tyres. Tyres going on to the BCR car, fuel going into the back. Exits the pit lane in 5th place, closely followed by Maurizio. Piero now down to 7th place, so the fuel saving and the different fuel strategies have allowed Maurizio to get ahead of Piero in the second pit stop, but now they are behind Nathan Marriott, who's not on that much of a worn set of mediums, although behind they are on a fresh set of softs. 6 laps to go and a 6-second gap. Have they got enough left in the tank to catch up and overtake the Brits? They will have the tyre advantage at this phase of the race, but the mediums might come back to Natty towards the end of this race. I refer to myself as my PlayStation name, that felt weird. But after the second pit stop, it's left Xavier and Maurizio bumper to bumper in the battle for 5th place on the racetrack. Cameron's into the pits, was running around these guys. Will he be ahead or will he drop behind? Here comes Maurizio, sends one down the inside. There's nearly contact between the two. You could probably fit half a sheet of paper between them at the apex of turn 15. They now run side by side, door to door, and Cameron's got ahead of Nathan Marriott down and towards turn 1. But it's a late move to the inside for Maurizio, covered off by Xavier, defending 5th place with all his might. It would be his best result, a finish of the season, if he could secure 12 points in the bag. It would be his highest point tally since Road Atlanta, where I believe he finished in 6th place in that race. Maurizio, it's been a while since he's been on the podium. We have to go back to round number 2 at Road Atlanta. He's got a job to do if he's to finish on a step on the podium tonight. But he's going to try and make his way up into the top 5. Here, Zab defending the inside. Maurizio going to try and work his way right round the outside. He's still side by side, pokes and wheeling. Zab forces him wide onto the curb. But with the inside line towards turn 13, Maurizio gets the move done up into 5th place. Xavier tried to fight that as best he could, but in the end has to concede the position and settle for 6th. Maurizio can now see his next target up the road on a slower set of tyres, or a Warner set of tyres. But the clock is ticking, the lap times are coming down. Maurizio left the door open on the inside of turn 1 for Surf to have a little look. That's a potential move. So they make their way through the tyre killer of turn 6. Maurizio now defending the inside once again from Zav, who's going to try and work his way round the outside. Once again, Maurizio has put up a stout defence, as he has done all season, most notably at Fuji, where he kept the other BCR driver behind for several laps. How about on this lap? Zav trying to work it round the outside, but couldn't quite get alongside the Lexus. By the time they get to the end of the corner, up in front though, Jensen has well and truly started lap 25 out of 27. 3 laps to go here at the Japanese Grand Prix. It looks like the top 3 are all set to finish on the podium. It's whether or not Nathan can secure a top 4 finish, or will he be caught by the soft runners behind? We're on board with Xavier Maynard inside the cockpit of the Mercedes AMG, looking at the back of that Lexus in front, making their way up the hill through Sector 1. There's almost nothing separating these two fighting for 5th place. Contact between the two as Zab runs into the back of Maurizio, and that's allowed Piero to catch up to this battle for 5th place. We now have 3 cars, 3 drivers, 3 different teams fighting for a place inside the top 5. It's almost a bit of deja vu to how the sprint ended. And once again, Piero is involved in a 3-car fight. Never seems to find himself in a 1v1. Always likes to arrive on the scene and join the party. We're about to start the penultimate lap of the race. I think the tyre life on those mediums, staying out for a couple of laps extra on the hards, is giving Nathan Marriott the grip he needs in this stint to stay ahead. Consecutively quick lap times on those mediums. 34.5, 34.4 for Maurizio. He's only gained a tenth on the last lap. That won't be enough. He needs to find a lot more if he is to catch up to Nathan in front. The one stop working well for the Lamborghini, was down in 7th place, now up into 4th. Cameron appears to have pulled away and is out of arm's reach, but there are still plenty of points up for grabs in this three-way fight for 5th. Once again, Maurizio pulls over to the left-hand side of the track. The right-hand side, as you see it on the screen, defensive in towards turn 8. Forces himself to go round the outside. Runs a little bit wide onto the grass. But here comes Piero now, trying to pick up the pieces to the outside of turn 10. The inside for turn 11, but will be the outside for turn 12. Zav's late on the brakes. Can Piero go later and swoop it round the outside? Goes wide, cuts inside, tries to get the cutback on Zav. They're going to run side by side down the hill, but it's Zav in 6th place. Jensen now leads us on to the final lap of the race. Lap 27 of 27. Just over 40 minutes of racing action has led down to these 3 cars fighting for 5th place and crucial points in both the drivers' and constructors' standings. With only 2 races to go after this one, every point matters. This battle for 5th is not over yet. Maurizio defending the inside, because here comes Xavier trying to go right round the outside, down towards turn 6. Quickly though, back up to our race leader. He rounds the final corner for the final time this evening. He's led every single lap. He didn't quite start on pole, but he qualified on pole for this race. It's his first Grand Slam. Jensen Taylor wins the Japanese Grand Prix. What's happened here? Piero's up into 5th. Contact between Maurizio and Zav as he's in the wall. Through goes Piero to the outside at turn 11. That's twice in 2 races now. Piero's made a double overtake. 2 cars in 2 corners. And moves up into 5th. Arte's had a great recovery drive from the sprint to finish the feature race in 2nd place. Unfortunately for me, it's not. He slowed down on the line. That's cheeky from him. But I keep my record of the biggest winning margin in FVR GT history. Cameron Hill takes his first podium of the season. It's a great strategy from Nathan, who finishes in 4th place on the one stop. Piero up into 5th place. A Squadra Italia 4-5. Xavier gets waved through by Maurizio across the line. The Dutchman conceding 6th to finish in 7th. James with a recovery in 8th, and it's a shame from him, setting really quick lap times, but it wasn't enough to make his way back into the top 6. Keane will finish this race with a puncture to the front right in 9th place. And last but not least, Leon will come across the line to score the final point available tonight. But you cannot fault the drive from Jensen Taylor. Qualified on pole position, he led every single lap, picked up the fastest lap and won the Japanese Grand Prix here at Kyoto. We're even going to get a donut or a spin or a reverse finish across the line from Leon. The world's best backwards driver, maybe. Finally, crosses the line in the wall. And there you have it. That brings to an end the Japanese Grand Prix, round number 7 here of Season 3 and the FVR GT League. It's a race won by Jenson Taylor, which means he, for the first time this season, takes the championship lead away from Mate Timgren. 3 points separating the two drivers with only 2 races to go. But which one of them will finish in first? 3 drivers, 2 races, but only one of them. No, I messed it up. Rewind. 3 points, 2 drivers. One can only be crowned champion. I've been Nathan, your commentator for this evening. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Looking into the constructor standings as well quickly, only 14 points separating Spider GT and Squadra Italia with 2 races to go. It's all to play for, all up for grabs in both championships. Join me next week where we will be live from the Italian Grand Prix, the home race of Squadra Italia. Can they pick up points and take a lead in the constructors for the first time this season? I'll see you next time. Goodbye.